during World War I. 1917 on this day, so Leon Trotsky being named chairman of the Petrograd Soviet as Bolsheviks gained control. Of course, that was during the Russian Revolution, which brought the rise of communism and the creation of the Soviet Union. 2001 on this day, U.S. President George W. Bush announced the establishment of the Office of Homeland Security. A few birthdays for today. Birthday greetings going out to Miss Yetta Lord. Happy birthday to you. Hoping you have a fantastic birthday indeed. Also celebrating her birthday today is Miss Giselle Petty. Happy birthday to you. And we do hope that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. We now head to our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your room, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today. It's the first working day of the week. And of course, that was because yesterday was a holiday here in St. Lucia, Thanksgiving holiday. And indeed, there was lots to be thankful for many St. Lucians. And that is because St. Lucia seems to be on a bit of a winning streak. And this time it was in cricket in the Caribbean Premier League, where the St. Lucia Kings, for the first time, were able to capture that trophy and became the 2024 champions for the CPL. That happened, of course, down at the Providence Stadium. Outside Georgetown, Guyana, where the CPL finals have been hosted for the past 3 years or so now. And of course, to tell us a lot about the mood and the anxiety of the night, it was certainly quite a night. I'm so very pleased that we have Mr. Dr. Joseph Reds Pereira on air with us. Reds, how are you doing? How are you relaxing and coping with this new victory by the Kings?
Well, I'm keeping my eyes on the Women's World Cup and just watch Australia destroy New Zealand. But they both probably will qualify, so it's not the end of the road for New Zealand. The West Indies got their next game on Thursday after beating Scotland, losing the first. It's, one event for the other, but you can't overlook what was a very good night for the franchise and a great night because it's so connected to St. Lucia, and it puts the footballers on call.
Yeah, the Pito boys have something coming up pretty soon at the Darren Sammy.
It should, I hope, reflect in the attendance. I think the public owes it to the national football team following the events of the Olympics with Julian Alfred and now the Kings, which is made up of a strong St. Lucian aspect, and of course overseas players. I think the Piton boys really needs the support at the gate. There's nothing like a huge crowd.
Right.
When those matches are played, I think on the 11th and 14th, maybe calling it
the Friday and the following Monday, and we'll be going up against St. Martin in in that
exactly.
competition. Yeah.
So, it's our time now to support the football team, and they are virtually on trial in a sense. But it's what they have inherited after a pretty good time for all solutions, and I think it's great that the title has gone to another franchise. You just couldn't have TKR Guyana again.
Right.
TKR. It's good. It is good for the CPL, although I do not think it was the best year. I don't want to take away anything from the last four people, but it was very, very plain, very early to see that the Falcons and the Patriots would not have been competitive. And from a CPL point of view, you really want, you get to Guyana, or you get wherever the finals are being played.
Right.
Next year, Guyana, next year, the following year, Barbados.
In Barbados, yeah.
You want to say, hi, there are 6 teams, wonder who will be the final 4. That was not the case this year.
Mm-hmm.
But, it is what it is. Don't blame the final 4 if Patriots in the final and Falcons didn't make the cut.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Your take on the Talawas? You think there's going to be any hope there? I mean, the current situation with cricket in Jamaica, they haven't. We noticed, of course, they weren't in this one. They didn't participate in the just concluded ICC Cricket World Cup. Some are suggesting even Sabina needs a major overhaul. What's going on there? Have you heard anything at all coming out of Jamaica?
No, I think that's exactly what it is. Full stop. I think cricket lovers in Jamaica, ex-administrators, private sector people, maybe even people in government, commentators, feel that Jamaica has just missed out. They missed out on bidding for the World Cup. The owners of the Talawas, from their point of view, two sides to the story, of course, have said very clearly they have not gotten the support from the Jamaica administration to make it a viable franchise, and hence they went to Antigua. Back to your question, I will think that, having said what I said about the last 4, I will say that CPL 2024 missed the Jamaica Talawas, because it's not easy to just start a new franchise as they went to Antigua.
Right.
And although one could say that the Falcons might have missed an opportunity on the first 2 games to have won, it just seemed not the same with the Talawas. Jamaica, of course, is just about to have the Bangladesh test match, which is good for them. It's a long time in coming. The facilities there, I think they're getting a new scoreboard, etc. But it's going to be up to the West Indies board to come up with some creative ways of attracting the public. I mean, I've said many times that I do not believe enough work is being done to fill stands. And the world is seeing empty stands. It's a little embarrassing, when you watch a game and, it's 2 men and a dog, so to speak. I want to really suggested that the West Indies board could do a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Women and children free. All under 19 cricketers with ID can come in. The same applies to the under 17. They could certainly work with the Ministry of Education without disrupting, of course, classes and things like that. It depends who are in exams, who are not in exams, what forms you're aiming for. But schools in uniforms free. I mean, they've got to be inventive. They got to work with the hotels. There are many hotels that have tourists, and sometimes they do not know there is a cricket match being played.
Right.
And the other thing could be gate prizes. If you have the private sector, one private sector, putting up a substantial gate prize, not in terms of money, but in terms of a substantial bit of equipment that people can use in their household. The gate prize could also be attractive. Gate prize, you need to write the Chamber of Commerce. You need to get the private sector involved. You just haven't had that kind of creative thinking. I think women and children free is a winner, but I don't see that, and I think the charges are out of whack. The charges are out of whack. I mean, this is hard of a season, and you got to look at the daily charges. You got to look at a man taking his daughter or taking his son. It's quite a cost per day,
Well, it certainly was not like that over at Providence over the weekend. It was a sea of red on Sunday night. And by all indications, of course, very, very, very interesting match occurred. Some may be debating, Reds, whether you had two horses in the race and you won either way. But your take, though, on the actual final that was played, very, very interesting. Low scoring, one could say, to some degree.
Yes, low scoring.
Yep.
Just to come back to horses, I've long gone past that. I've long gone past that. I've almost lived as many years out of Guyana as in Guyana. So I've long past that.
Well, maybe so, but best of both worlds either way.
Yeah.
Sure. But of course, definitely, I mean, the Amazon Warriors were the favorites coming in. They have, in fact, been to, 6 different finals thus far. They've only managed to win one, I think, is it last year, of course.
Exactly.
And they were, in fact, going in as the favorites, certainly, into this final.
But I think they made errors. I said on another station, the team that kept its nerve, the team that kept its cool, the team that made the right decisions won the final. And that was, in fact, the Kings.
Right.
I mean, one of the glaring things is that Shepherd and Pretorius, who have been rescuing Guyana consistently in this competition, was kept back with the overs running out. I think it was a huge error.
Well, a bit of an injury there for Shepherd, though. So one maybe say that perhaps they didn't have the benefit of him throughout the bowling innings. But point made, though, that certainly they probably could have been a little bit more aggressive.
Well, they should have promoted Shepherd and Pretorius. They used Paul, they used Rifa, they used Sinclair, and the overs were running out.
I suppose they figured that the hope was with the spin bowlers, and
yes,
that's where their money was at.
You need a score on the board. 138 is is well below par.
Yeah.
But
Well, you say it's well below par, but for some time there many people around St. Lucia, I understand, even turned off their televisions because they couldn't stand to watch what was going on, particularly in the middle.
Well, the Kings didn't have the usual start.
Right.
By the captain.
Faf and John O partnership didn't materialize.
And then they lost 2 other wickets.
Mm-hmm.
And, up to the 15th over, the run rate required was just climbing, And, there is a story. There is, I understand,
that message
Aaron
from
Jones,
Sammy?
Yes, Aaron Jones was told, look, you got to get on or else we have to retire you. And they would have brought in Weiser, right? Whether that fired him up, I do not know. But all of a sudden, there was a transformation in his ability to find the boundary.
And clearly it was always there.
Well, he might have been waiting for a wake-up call.
It almost felt as if they were looking at a test match in the middle of that innings.
Yeah. I mean, they were soaking up dot balls. And those 2 of us, the one from Moeen Ali.
Yeah.
And the
27 of that over. I mean, that was a phenomenal over in any stretch of the imagination.
There was a total change, I mean, it's like if you are on the edge of the cliff and somebody gives you a hand to pull back.
What I found also very, very fascinating about this entire CPL series and the victory that we saw from the Kings was that the individuals who starred effectively were coming from non-traditional cricketing countries. We saw Noor coming out of Afghanistan, Jones coming out of the United States. Very, very interesting situation here. That it really just gives you an indication of where cricket is heading in the future.
Well, you raise something which I was thinking about as you're about to call me. That Noor, I think, in my opinion, although Duplessis and Johnson Charles had an outstanding season, and we wish Johnson Charles, all the best I'm told he's going to Jamaica for a small operation. I think that Noor was the selection, was the pick of the entire CPL. I mean, he was consistent.
Yeah.
He has ended up with the most wickets. He is
22, I think.
Mysterious, back in the hand stuff. He turns the ball both ways. I mean, he bowls very few balls. And to me, he might have made the difference in the attack. I mean, the captain Duplessis could have gone to him and said, listen, I want you to break this partnership.
Well, he picked up 3 wickets. That he certainly, had the Guyanese team under significant pressure.
Yeah, because, he's mysterious. And he's not bowling 4 good balls and 2 bad balls, right? His control is really marvelous. Well, he's had a fair amount of experience. He's played in the IPL. He's played in the BPL. He's quite experienced, And Afghanistan produces quality cricketers. Maybe the world has not really given them, enough credit for the amount of talent that they have produced under pressure. They are basically based in northern India, they really made a contribution to world cricket.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely ended up as being quite a final, quite a finish. A little bit underwhelming, though, that they ended up winning with a wide. But a win was certainly a very sweet win at that point for the St. Lucia Kings.
Well, they probably would have run for it to come off the bat and go to the boundary, or better than a wide. But
your take on the umpiring, though, a bit of criticism being handed out in some quarters.
Well, I mean, umpire's call is going to be debated until that's changed. I mean, it's really rough sometimes on a batsman.
Yeah.
Rough sometimes on a batsman where umpire's call and that operates. That is a debatable point. It's going to be ongoing with umpire's call. I think basically that should be simply left to the third umpire.
You think so, eh? Do you think you're going to get to a point where the leg before wicket is just going to be an automatic third umpire's decision?
I think maybe there'll be more justice that way. But of course, people will argue that too many will slow the game down. Because the process takes some time.
Yes.
The process takes some time, but for a long time.
Does it really take that long? I mean, I'm pretty certain that with computing nowadays and artificial intelligence, you could probably have that before the umpire could even make up his mind.
Yes, so. I agree. It could be a lot faster. There's a lot faster. It should be a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes, sometimes ball tracking takes, a minute to get going, at the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But for a long time, I want to make this point, for a long time, it was the umpires who called a no ball. Now,
right.
You can't look at everything. You can't look at the feet and
right.
look at the hand at the same time. They
Mm-hmm.
changed that for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
That really has improved the situation regarding no balls.
Mm-hmm.
A lot maybe used to be missed. That is not happening now. And I think umpire's call is something that could be reviewed by the ICC cricket committee.
Right.
So the pressure will be, of course, on the Kings. Everybody be looking at them next year. So, pressure on those who hold the crown, kind of speak.
Heavy is the head that holds the crown.
Yes, and very important that when the fixtures are out, that they start well and going back. I mean, they beat the Warriors in the final. Look what happened here in a one-off game against the Warriors. Just about 100. You talk about the spin. Well, the spin worked here, but it certainly didn't quite work in the finals. But I think the Warriors are beginning to be maybe a side like DKR that needs to be reconstructed. I think there's some necessary changes in both the DKR and the Warriors for them to ensure that there's enough balance. There's enough balance in the makeup of the 11s they put out on the field of play.
Right.
But I see they've come up in Guyana with another major tournament.
The Global Premier League.
Global
that's
Premier
happening in November.
What that is all about, we have to wait and see. But it appears that Clive Lloyd is involved.
Well, I understand it's 6 teams from around the world, the best of the best of the various leagues.
Is it 6 or 5? I'm
5?
Not sure.
Well.
Yes. They're going to play 11 games all told, and each will play 4. But
okay.
we don't know the 4 international franchise. But
Guyana is in it, though. The Guyana Warriors are participating.
They are hosting, I suppose, it's their party. But they have to get a lot better. If the level of the competition is going to be, lifting, and you're getting the the best out of Australia and the best out of England and India, you better be ready. You better be ready with the best 14 or 15 players you could put together. I will assume that if Lloyd is involved, he would be having some input on what a competitive Warrior side will in fact be.
Many have said, of course, that Guyana is in a very blessed position right now, thanks to its economic situation, and they've got the backing of even companies like ExxonMobil coming on board. But certainly that model, they've certainly taken on cricket as a means of sports tourism, and taking on these types of activities, certainly very, very good for them in terms of boosting their tourism.
Yes, but you're going to see from a cricket point of view whether they are producing young promising cricketers. That is being debated. There's been a lot of talent displayed. I don't believe that we have seen that kind of development. There's no promising, like the boy Paris from the Royals. There isn't a similar. There's Wickham from the Royals. You can look at young O'Geese, who was a development player. He played in all 11 matches. I don't see the talent really coming through. There is, of course, Isaiah Thorne, the young fast bowler. Didn't get a game for the Royals, but you got to look at the cricketers coming through whilst all this is happening, and there is a role for the Guyana board to play.
Right.
To bring on these players. CPL has nothing to do with the development of cricket in Guyana, although you believe that because of the upsurge in the interest of the CPL, etc., what is to come in November. But there is, in fact, a close eye being looked at in terms of the strength of Guyana's cricket, in terms of the development of young players. I mean, Het Myers is still a young player. Joseph is a young player. Shepherd is a young player. Moti is a young player. The bowling is not the question. Guyana has always, like Barbados, produced batsmen, right? But that is not really seen as coming true.
And I suppose in the case of St. Lucia, we're very fortunate and blessed to have the hands of a Darren Sammy, so very much involved with the Kings as the coach, and playing a very active role, as we definitely saw over the weekend in the finals, in terms of what is actually happening with the development of players as well. Perhaps that might be missing in the case of some of the other teams, that local participation at the decision-making level?
Well, I think it's up to, Guyana's got someone who has stopped playing now, Leon Johnson, who in fact led Guyana to 5 titles in the 4-day. And other countries like Jamaica maybe needs to appoint that kind of quality person to do exactly what Darren Sammy is doing. But of course, he is operating at a very high level as the white ball coach. But one will think that in the case of Guyana, Leon Johnson should be brought in into the leadership of the cricket development committee, cricket development, whatever they want to call it. And that probably it needs to be done.
Yeah, and let's of course hope that we can continue to see more young St. Lucians getting that opportunity through the CPL to be able to get that global taste, even at a local level. So in the years to come.
Just this morning I was thinking about the United Insurance
Secondary schools.
sponsorship.
Yes.
That was a sponsorship that not only St. Lucia enjoyed, it went right through the OECS. And it included St. Kitts for 3 years, although United wasn't selling any policies in Bastia. And that produced a number of players for the national team, those who went on to play for the Windwards and Leewards, those who went on to play for the West Indies. And I think that, it was a major impact where all of a sudden the various ministries would have had X thousand dollars to place towards running a secondary school program. And, I think that was a major factor in the development of Leewards and Windwards cricket. And it was, in fact, United Insurance head office Tommy Pierce, the late, who decided that unless there is, in fact, money spent on the Windwards and Leewards secondary school system, you aren't going to have the test players coming through from the Windwards and Leewards. As Sir Frank Worrell pointed out many, many, many moons ago, that the talent will come from these smaller islands.
Well, thanks for making that pitch again, and the importance of those foundational programs, especially in all sports, but
I
in
think
cricket in this instance.
One may remember that Darren Sammy played in.
Well, I think pretty much everybody went through those
exactly.
United Insurance program.
We can end by wishing the Beaton boys every success.
Yeah.
And watch to see what will the turnout will be, and here's hoping that it will be 2 matches or 3 matches at home. Is it 2 matches?
It's 2 matches. Well, there's also, I think, Curacao against Grenada as well. And of course, we also have to spare a thought for, as you mentioned, United Insurance, Mr. Hollis Bristol. Of course, he was very much active in that. And unfortunately, his wife recently passed, so our condolences.
Yes, I in fact had a call from him as he tries to deal with the loss. He was just calling about the information regarding what was happening, which station, what time, and things like that, Right. And I passed on my best wishes and things like that.
Well, Reds, thank you so very, very much for sharing with us, as always, your take on where things are at, of course, and the wonderful Thanksgiving gift that we got of the St. Lucia Kings victory over the weekend in the CPL 2024 finals.
People might say, another holiday for a winning group.
Well, the holiday came even before. So
yes.
It was already preordained.
They arrived in the holiday.
Yes, indeed. And wonderful.
But now, it's up to the Cricket Association. Now that the franchise has done what they did, it's up to the Cricket Association, in my opinion, to start playing more red ball cricket. So you can produce players that can head towards the West Indies A team, the West Indies Test team.
Right.
The McKenny Clarks and that lot really needs to play as much red ball cricket and not so much white ball cricket, which of course is the easier thing to get.
The more lucrative events or sport at this time, yes, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the last event of the year may be the Caribbean Boxing Championships. I think that is being debated now. It may come to St. Lucia, and maybe at some time.
Well, we'll be looking forward to hearing something from that. Yes, definitely.
Yes, well, he's got to come out and say whether it's on or whether it's off. The International Boxing Association is under a little bit of pressure, and that might end up in court. But we'll wait to see if the all clear will be given.
Wonderful. Red, thanks once again for coming on, and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.
And just before we go, I have to do a makeup CPL report, and the lovely lady who will come at 2 o'clock, she can expect me to call at 3:15 to close off the reports I'm committed to.
Wonderful. Thanks very much for that. Have a good one.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And that's been our dish of the day, and we're going to take a break at this point so we can take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. There's all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also black, that's and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses, Grozile, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Island style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island style, whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style, oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island style.
We have tiles and insets, spaces and ground. Everything you need to sort the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality, price, service, choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Castries, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's all, of course, on 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar. The forecast for St. Valley for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from between the east, southeast, and southeast near 14 miles per hour or 22 kilometers per hour, becoming variable or calm at times. The weather partly cloudy, skies becoming cloudy at times with scattered showers, which will be heavy in some locations, and isolated thunderstorms. Conditions are expected to gradually improve overnight. There is an advisory in Heritage Razor residents and motorists in areas prone to flooding and landslides. Advised to be vigilant and exercise caution. The forecast for Los Angeles, partly cloudy to cloudy at times with scattered showers, which may be locally heavy and isolated thunderstorms. And the tropical weather outlook, moist and unstable conditions over the region will continue to cause scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms over the islands during the forecast period. A tropical wave located over a few hundred miles east of the Les Antilles will produce similar weather conditions over the region later today into tomorrow. At 11 a.m. today, the center of Tropical Storm Leslie was located near latitude 14, that should be 19.4 north, and longitude 45.6 west. Leslie is moving towards the northwest near 13 miles per hour or 20 kilometers per hour. Maximum sustained winds are near 70 miles per hour or 110 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. During the next 48 hours, little change in strength is forecasted. Leslie do not pose a threat to our region at this time. A second tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. And this was the weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talamba.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island style. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island style.
We have tiles and thin sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need to sort the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality rice, service choice. It's all an Island style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Hope everybody's having a very blessed week. And of course, we were just speaking to Mr. Reds Pereira about the victory in the new 2024 champions for the Caribbean Premier League, that of the St. Lucia Kings. And of course, many were saying that the Kings had to bring it home for the Queen, as we just recently, of course, also won Julian Alfred brought home St. Lucia's first ever medal, gold medal in the Olympics, as well as a silver medal in the 200 meters as well. So stunning performances for thus far for the year 2024 from St. Lucia. A number of firsts happening, and certainly lots to take in, lots to be inspired about, lots to certainly give some hope that in fact we can perform at the highest level. And of course, some may say that in the case of the Kings, it's a mixed team, of course, individuals coming from all over, but certainly very, very good performances over the tournament season by the likes of Johnson Charles. Certainly has become indispensable as the opener in the St. Lucia Kings, normally holding down the fort with the captain of the team, South African Faf du Plessis, and usually setting out I think one of the best partnerships of the season of the tournament as well, the two of them. So certainly we've seen some very, very, very good performances there by St. Lucians, of course, as well. Young 21-year-old Akeem Ogist recently coming in and already doing such a marvelous job batting very early in. How are you doing? And welcome to the program.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. If you're somebody like maybe the police would just pass and pick up those homeless people, because you have even some sleeping by the waterfront there and the thing, just pick them up and put them in a place, in a home. They would be infringing on their rights?
Well, we do have laws regarding loitering. I'm not completely sure, and of course, I mean, I believe we also have under the criminal code, and I stand to be corrected, I believe we have things dealing with vagrancy, but so there are, legal provisions to deal with certain matters like that. But of course, these things do have to be dealt with in a very sensitive way. The police, I know, have a vulnerable persons unit. In fact, I think two, one in the north, one in the south. Those tend to be dealing with a lot of domestic cases, issues at the homes, dealing with children. But I think as well, when you're dealing with homelessness, there are certain sensitivities that have to be dealt with. So it certainly can't just be a matter of just going and picking them up, in that sort of sense. And they have to be treated certainly with
the thing, there are lots of them all over the place. And example, the cruise ship season will be starting soon. You have some of them sometimes, because even once has in a big comment, one, he walks with pants, almost all his private parts, everything out. You have them all over. Sometimes
right, and so that's an offense, indecent exposure.
Yeah,
so
but then he's mentally disturbed.
And that is also the other issue that we have with a lot of persons who are homeless. A lot of them have some quote-unquote underlying conditions, so to speak. A lot of them have mental health issues, which, in fact, you may even find out that they, in fact, have been to the mental wellness center. Maybe they're not taking medication. Sometimes there are a lot of different issues. And so that's why you've got to be sensitive and look at the human element, I guess, in each and every one of them, because yes, there is also the risk to the health and safety of everybody else, because those individuals sometimes may be a danger to other individuals. They may be trespassing on private property. They quite often look for abandoned buildings and places where they can, rest their heads, and that can be problematic in and of themselves, because they start fires, and you can see a lot of issues with respect to homelessness.
And that is the reason why I'm asking, like, the Rotary Club to reconsider, because sometime early in 2021, the former president, Miss Selma Sempre, was on Claudia's show. And they were already breaking grounds to open this place in the George V Park, the old Girl Guides headquarters. Mm-hmm. They were going to transform this place, break it down, build something where they would have care for those people 24 hours, she said. 24 hours a day. They would bathe, they would change, they would have a breakfast, and even have television and all sorts of things. So instead of them wandering during the day all over the place, there was a thing. And I remember they break ground for that. But some people had a problem with that. Example, Mr. Danley Labon was the first saying that you cannot take up green space. You cannot take up green space. And it was a whole lot of thing. When something like that would have been just right.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think there are a few things, there are a few issues here, which perhaps we may have to unpack. One is that sometimes people have a very negative perception of shelters. Let's just use the word shelters very generally, but places which would provide social services, care and protection, perhaps. Support, guidance, whatever it may be, these types of facilities. And so sometimes people don't necessarily want them close by. They quote unquote not in my backyard type of spaces, although they are actually helping the society. And some of them have seen very positively. But then that said, they can sometimes also lead to attendant issues. So because it's a location maybe which is a shelter, you then find people who say, oh, but these individuals are coming by and they're still engaging in things that are antisocial behavior, So, as you say, they're not dressed properly.
But that's what they were trying to take care of.
I know. So finding a location sometimes might be very sensitive for some places. I mean, for instance, we do have a facility which has been led by Cornerstone House for quite some time. And the argument there is quite often that it's too far out of the city center. And so some of these individuals, they don't want to go all the way across there.
And this is the reason Mr. Delma Sempre was saying they was having it in the right there.
And so having a facility in the city center, I would think is certainly a good idea. As to say necessarily whether it is in fact best suited in that particular location might be debatable, because I do know that within that very same space, although it's a park, we have placed some other facilities close by. So, for instance, I think there's a preschool, a daycare center.
Yes, there's a preschool and a daycare center there, and they should not even have the bus drivers there.
Yeah, right. Now, look at that.
But
You
they
have...
urinate in there.
So we have all of these things which we are now...
All those things.
Yeah, so you've got the bus stand, you've got the school, the preschool, you've got a school as well, the Anglican Infant School nearby too. So, how those things are cited, you may want to consider some of these individuals and the impacts that may come from it. But I think certainly the need for such a facility is undoubtable.
Because when I listened to that from the retreat, it sounded so good. It sounded wonderful, because here you have people be giving all kinds of services to them, and instead of having them walk all over the place. She said there's have little things to keep them entertained, like having a big screen inside there. Who wants to rest? Who wants even having little books for those that maybe they could have they're able to read also, but they didn't have that anymore. All of those things give them, and for them that thing to have just gone off themselves. I don't think it was right, and I think they should reconsider it, because there are too many of those people walking all over the place. The garbage, especially in nighttime, just drive around in nighttime, and they somersaulting.
But the other issue that we face too, caller, is that we do not have sufficient social housing, affordable social housing. And you will find quite often individuals, they, for whatever different reasons, and there are many, whether it is as a result of damage from a fire, or the individuals have gone through a very rough patch. They've got some addiction problems. Exactly, you could have domestic conflicts, and individuals find themselves in these crises where they may not have the social capital, the social networks to say, hey, well, I can go and stay by a parent, or I can go and stay by a relative or something of the sort. They find themselves faced with this serious situation where they have to find housing, and there's nothing really for a lot of for those types of situations. Now, it could be temporary housing. It could be, it might not be necessarily a full, in some places in Europe especially, you have these, well, I guess you could call them common housing, sort of, where you actually might, communal housing, you share, facilities sometimes, but, you have some common spaces like the kitchens and living areas where you can actually, but you still have some. So we definitely have to think about some of these issues when we're dealing with.
By the way, did you see this video over the weekend? This guy that living by VG all the way down there in some old house, he actually took a picture of where he's staying. He actually put he had also like the rope where he intends hanging himself and all sorts of things. He video everything. He said he had 2 children, and his children would call him stupid, but he intended to take, but he showed it. But to me, once I saw that, somebody was telling me that when they played it for me today, I said, I don't think that this guy is going to kill himself. I think this guy is crying out for help, and this is an easy way to get help to come to him if he go out there and he's not getting. So I did not hear anybody kill themselves over the weekend. So somehow I think maybe by he showing himself about to hang himself and saying all things, somehow help must have reached him.
Well, that's good that help had reached. I didn't see the video, but I would say that we do have to take those things pretty seriously, though. I mean, when individuals are getting to that point where they are suggesting that they are suicidal, I think it is a very serious matter. And there is a suicide hotline, I believe, and we do need to see how because I mean, we've seen far too many times that individuals have asked for help, and they get to that point, and we then have to look back and say, unfortunately, well, we didn't think it was serious, So,
but that one was smart.
Well,
at least he put it out there.
Yeah, because you're right. Because a lot of times people people don't speak about
shakes
their
hands.
problems. Yeah.
Yes.
So in some respects, hey, we do have to commend him for that at least. But it's certainly a part of the challenge that we face, that people do sometimes get themselves in these.
I'm hoping something, and I just feel sometimes we have too many denominations in St. Lucia that they cannot come together as one to have this place. They put all that together, have this place where people can take care of those people. All of them come together. Put it. Some of the churches have doctors. They have all kinds of people to assist in having this a big place where those people that are homeless don't have to be there out on the street, but they have a place where they can go, where they can sleep, where they can be fed, and all of these things. I just find that is not being done, and it's time, they call ourselves really spiritual and religious people. We need to take this into consideration. I know the Catholic Church already have many. They have St. Lucie, they have Marian Home, but I see nothing wrong in the others coming together and putting things in place to take care of these people.
Well, I don't know, because it's easy to see the institutional level, structures, and of course the Catholic Church has been around for a while, and they have in fact put quite a number of these institutions in place, which of course are very, very visible and make a really important contribution.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you do have, maybe at the smaller level, maybe they're not necessarily, they may not have the institutions, the buildings, but maybe they're doing it on the basis of families coming in and providing care and support. Because that's the other two issues. There are two sides to that too, caller.
Yeah.
Institutions are good in some instances, but they're not always the best approach. And so the small scale, person to person, the family level input, whether it's through foster care or, whatever you want to call it, that's really, really important as well. And it has to be part of the solution. Very, very important part of the solution. So we're going to have to end it here, though, caller. Thanks very, very much.
The Kings all the best.
Indeed.
I really enjoyed the match last night.
Indeed.
It was fun. It was a lot of biting nails sometimes.
Yes. There was that very slow period, and we were not too sure.
To be happy about. You're just missing one more thing to get.
Oh, what's that?
Miss Universe on the 16th of November.
Well, let's hope and see how those things go. Thanks very much for that, caller.
Okay,
have a good one. And of course, that's unfortunately all the time we have today here at the program, and we do hope that you can join us again tomorrow at the same time here at Radio Caribbean International's Lunchroom. I'm your host, Alex Shaw Jr., saying goodbye.